What if you can make 100 million in 1 year? A vast majority of people would have said that's impossible. But then a small minority would have asked the most important question: how? Due diligence demands that before you put a product out there, you know that you're making a product for people who want it. If you're going to put a product out in the world without due diligence, without first considering, do these people want this product? Then you have failed before you started. Say you're about to make a movie. The first thing you want to be sure of is whether people want that kind of movie. I like to think that there's a reason why Hollywood goes back to recycle old movies. Those movies worked, they sold, and they are still selling. Remakes sell sometimes better than the original. And they are not stupid, it's because they've understood the concept of give the people what they want. If you're a filmmaker and you're trying to make a film, especially in the independent sector, you don't have big theaters to put your film in. You don't have connections to put your film on Netflix or other major distribution platforms. But then you have to be really very sure that your film can at least be distributed locally. And the very first thing to ensure that your film gets distributed locally is to ensure that you're telling a story people want to watch. I cannot emphasize that any more than that. This takes us then to the question of how then can you make 100 million from one film? If there's one thing I've learned from watching the Chinese grow through the years in their economy and everything else, is the fact that the Chinese have understood that there is money in numbers. A Chinese businessman would rather sell 1 million units for cheap at a minimum profit than to sell 10 of those units at a maximum profit. What does that do? Assuming wherever you come from, you make a movie and you spend 50 million and you intend to sell this movie, and you decide that for every unit of this movie that you sell, you're going to make 100 of whatever your currency is. And you say your target is going to be 1 million people of your population. Now, this is what happens. So, you've made this movie, a movie that people want to watch, and you've sold 1 million copies. Why? Because you sold to make the most minimal profit. But here is where you win. By getting more people to buy your product, you've made basically over 100 million. Now, I know a lot of people don't think about business in that way. You often think, well, if I sell this ad and I make maybe 500 or 1,000 of profit per unit sold, then I only have to sell to a small number of people. That's also good as well. But the question is, do you think it is better to sell an affordable product to many people who want it? Or do you think it is better to sell a product that is not so affordable to people who do not want it as much? Now, I do believe that price has always been a great incentive. And in movies, if you tell a good story, people are going to want to watch it. And if you take that a step further and you make it affordable, even more people are going to want to watch it. So, my take home for you from this video is this. If you're going to make a product that is going to be commercially successful, the very first thing you want to think about is the people you're making this movie for. Are they going to want to watch this kind of story? And this is the simplest thing, and a lot of us ignore this. Go to the stories that people already find interesting about where they live. We have so many stories, so many things, interesting things that happened in the past that are happening today. People talk about these things, people relate to these things. Research those stories and tell them. In fact, it is much easier to sell a story that people have experienced, have talked about in a movie, than to sell a story that people are going to ask themselves the question, is it going to be interesting? Is it going to be entertaining? As a filmmaker, you want to simplify the work for you. You want to make that marketing work. Look at where you are. Ask questions. Talk to the people around. What kind of movies do you like? Why do you like these movies? Where do you watch movies? All that to figure out one important thing. What kind of product will I make that these people will like? And if you sell that product at an affordable price, it's easy to get 1 million people to buy. And if you sell that to make a profit of 100 per every unit, you just made yourself 100 million. It's not rocket science. It's possible, and you can do it. Do that. On to the next one. Bye bye.